is accepted as truth in the society dominating them. This rings as true today in 2017 as it did in 1967 when Dr. King first said it. Black people still face opposition with saying simple statements like, our lives matter, Black lives matter. Dr. King also said in his letter from the Birmingham jail, I must confess that over the past few years, I've been gravely disappointed with the white moderates. I've reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride toward freedom is not the white citizens counselor or the KKK, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal that you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season. We are done waiting. My ancestors, we are done waiting. My ancestors were strong enough to survive a hellhole of a trip across the Atlantic and the underbelly of a slave ship. My ancestors were strong enough to survive chattel slavery, rape, and mental torment. My ancestors survived Columbus discovering Taino people and deciding they were too docile and peaceful, but the Negro would be just tough enough to enslave. My ancestors survived Jim Crow laws. They survived housing, voting, education, job, and healthcare discrimination. But some people didn't survive. Some of my people didn't make it. Some of my people still don't make it to this day. That's why we do this work, because from then until now, one Black death is one too many. Gideon's army seeks to fight the prison industrial complex, school prison pipeline, police brutality, and other oppression Black and Latinx folks are facing today in Nashville. Gideon's Army is a grassroots nonprofit started in 2010 by Rashida Fatuga to make the world a better place for our children so that 50 years from now, we won't still be talking about justice. Direct action is an important component to this work. This right here is direct action. Other marches and sit-ins are direct action. Donating to these causes is direct action. These are the tools we use to fight the imperialist, white supremacist, capitalist patriarchy. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable, to be anti-racist, willing to confront your family members who are racist or who have racist ideology. Willing to stand up for human rights means more than liking posts on Facebook or retweeting about justice on Twitter. You have to show up. You have to be here. You give money to the organizations run by the people who are affected most, who are doing this work. You stand in your solidarity all the way. You don't claim allyship as a way to pat yourself on the back, but to truly take down these systems of domination. Resist. Organize. This must become more than a march. It must become a movement. An unwillingness to be uncomfortable and confront the monster of white supremacy is how Donald Trump became our 45th president of the United States. And Trump's oppressive ideology has been represented since our country's inception. So what will you all do to fight these systems of oppression? Intersectional isn't an adjective that you can just throw in front of feminists to make yourself feel better. It's a term created by Kimberly Crenshaw used to explore the oppression Black women and girls face to show how we it's misogynoir, which is anti-black sexism, to suggest otherwise. So if you're for women's rights, you're for black people's